welcome to our first unofficial episode of tTalkin. I'm Josh, and as you can see, my beautiful co-host Alyssa is not here. So I came and did a promo this weekend that said we were going to film an episode on Monday and have it out for you at least no longer than 2 days later. And that didn't happen. Monday came around. Alyssa had a migraine all weekend. We didn't get a chance to film it. I thought for two reasons that I would do this part of the show now and post it, because one, I told you I'd post you something and here it is. And two, because we do break our show down into segments. And we are doing this segment in our first official episode where it's a life or an advice segment, and the letters that I found online kind of linked to each other, and the message for all three was kind of the same. So I wanted to make sure that we got to all three letters, but in rehearsal, that segment was going over by like 10 minutes. This segment is about 10 minutes. So I thought I'd put this out there, which would also free up the time during the official show to get all three letters done. So I'm killing two birds with one stone by getting the video out to you and freeing up that time. And just so you know, it's just me here right now. I apologize if this sucks, but without further hesitation, here's what I got for you. For this segment, I will normally take a personal story, a news story, something like that, and just give you my take on it. Or it could be just something I need to get off my chest. The topic I chose for this episode is something that is really personal to me, and it's got some rather fresh wounds. But I thought I needed to spread it so that way because the message is much deeper for me than I think you all need to know it. So I couldn't decide what I wanted to talk about for this episode. I had a script written about a guy who called our CBD store that we work at and asked me if we had any CBD that would ungay his son. That happened about a month or two ago. It happened back in January. And I really didn't think it was relevant anymore. So if you don't mind, this script is useless now. By a first ever douchebag award recipient. Now, for the record, as I said, this topic means a lot to me, and it's rather personal. I apologize in advance if I get emotional, and I'll do my best to hold it together. But it's still really raw. I just wanted to take a minute to explain why this show means a lot to me, and why I decided to start posting this show. I have literally rewritten this script 7 times now, and I've rewritten it so many times because I want it to be perfect. I want the message to be clear and really no question about why I decided to start doing these. So on March 3rd, 2020, someone I considered like a nephew to me was killed in a plane crash on I-55. Mitchell Jansen was 22 years old. By the time he was 17, he had his pilot's license, and he was literally an all-star baseball player. He could have been drafted into any MLB team and also set many IHSA records. Between his sports, his flying, his schooling, he always found time for his family and friends. And to me, that is someone that we should honor, someone that we should look up to. So I sat down to write this segment, and I really couldn't figure out what to talk about, and I couldn't get Mitchell off my mind. Mitchell always made the underdog feel important. He had a way with people, and if you walked up to him as a random stranger, by the time you left his presence, you were his friend, if not family. For example, at a celebration of life, this lady told a story about how she was at a bar one night with her boyfriend. She was standing up at the bar waiting for drinks, and Mitchell came up to order a drink, and she didn't know Mitchell at the time. Just some random person. She struck up a conversation with him, and with both of them about sports, she started complaining, bad-mouthing, dissing her school's arch rival football's quarterback. and because they had an upcoming game. And she said the rant went on for about 10 minutes until her boyfriend came up to her and said, "Oh, you've met Mitchell, the quarterback of your rival team," the man she was just bad mouthing for 10 minutes. You cannot take life for granted. You have to live life to its fullest. After Mitchell passed away, I sat home for 2 days and just stared. I felt numb. It felt like I had lost one of my own nephews. I called a friend of mine and asked him to come over, and he did. And I told him all about Mitchell, from what all he had accomplished to just in general how amazing of a person he was. I could not stop crying, but finally I got myself together, calmed down, and my friend looked me square in the eyes and then slapped me across the face. He looked at me and said, "Would Mitchell want you to be crying over him right now? Would Mitchell want you to sit here and dwell over his death? I have never met the guy, and I feel like he would want you to go out and live life and live adventures like he would have. I don't tell you this to depress you. I tell you this story because what my friend said was right. Mitchell didn't play or even consider playing in the major leagues because of a passion that he has had since third grade to be a pilot. That's what his dream was, and that's what he followed. He lived his life. He lived his dream. All of us can. I have never been the person that had much self-confidence and always worried about what people were going to say about me. I have done this show or a show like this with my nephews for around 10 years, and I was always afraid to tell people I did them, let alone post them, because of what they would say or think about me doing a show like this. So I never did. Last July, I had a mental breakdown and I checked myself into the hospital, which at first I really didn't want anyone to know because what would they think? Would I lose friends because of this? When I got home, I realized I am better than that. I can't live life and be stressing out over the things I can't control, like what people are going to say about me or what people are going to think about me. Mitchell had accomplished a lot more in his 22 years of existence on this planet than I have in my 37. I realize that there are people out there that have the same issues I do, that may have had the same thoughts I had that took me to the hospital. And if I tell my story, maybe it could help or inspire someone else to start following their dream. I didn't intend to get this deep in the first episode, but in order to explain my thoughts on living life, I felt it special to share mine and Mitchell's story because of the thoughts I had that you shouldn't take life for granted, and Mitchell being taken so soon that you cannot take life for granted. I don't want to live my life with regrets. Mitchell didn't. Even though Alyssa and I were in talks about doing this show before Mitchell passed away, his death and what I went through in July made me realize that it's because of all of those things that life is too short. If you want to do something, do it. It won't happen unless you make an effort. You won't know if you're even good at what your dream job is if you don't try it. My dream job in life is to do play-by-play for NHL, which I know by sitting at home and commentating on my NHL Wii game that that's not going to happen. I can't control what people are going to say about me or this show, and I shouldn't stop it from trying to obtain my dream like Mitchell did. We should all live life like Mitchell did. He regretted nothing. He took everything as an adventure. I realize that my dream is big, and I realize it may never happen, but I won't know unless I try. So finally, I answer the question I posed at the beginning of this. Why choose to do this show? I do this show to take one step closer to achieving my goal. I do this show to push my limits. I do this show to live adventures like Mitchell did. I do this show for Mitchell and his legacy. I do this show for people out there who say I shouldn't or say that I can't. I do this because it's my passion, and if Mitchell's death has taught me anything in life, it's that life is too short and that I can only achieve what I allow myself to achieve.